Oh, I was asking how do I pronounce your name?
Oh, it's Vili Vilhunen.
Vili Vihaloen.
It's pretty close.
Cool, cool. Do you go by Vili?
Yeah,
Vili?
Vili.
Vili. Okay, cool, cool. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm very well. I'm excited to do this session with you.
Yeah, me too. I was
Perfect, perfect.
uh, my girlfriend is actually out of, I should say fiance because we just got engaged. But my fiance is out of town, so I'm actually making music all night today. So I thought about sampling this session if there's
Oh,
some nice tidbits there.
perfect. Yeah, you're more than welcome to. That would be
Oh, great.
amazing. Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, very honored to be able to have any of this content used in the music. That's like super exciting.
Yeah, like sort of like a epic, intro or somewhere in the middle. We'll see.
Perfect, perfect. All right. So, do you have any questions for me before we begin? Do you have any questions about the session? Anything in particular?
No, not really. Not really. If you want to upload this to your YouTube channel, you can upload it. It's fine for me.
Okay. Oh, awesome, awesome. Well, cool, cool. I'll record from my end just in case. Although I think you're already recording, so I don't think I have to do that because it'll
Okay.
be available on both our ends. Well, cool.
Yeah.
So I'll dive into the channeling state, and I'll just set an alarm. So we'll have about an hour.
Yeah.
I always like if we're in the middle of like something like very juicy and the alarm goes off, I'll turn it off and just finish the last bits of the information as well. So it's going to be for 11. We'll make it for 11. We'll go for 11:20. There we go. 1 hour and 2 minutes. Okay, perfect. All right, I'll put that alarm on low so that way it doesn't just start blaring while we're closing up. Okay, great. So let's make sure back 11:20. Alarm is minimal. Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Thanks, man.
Of course, my pleasure. My pleasure. Welcome back to. I know you said you were traveling, so cool that you got back safe.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was really fun.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. Without further ado, I'll go into the channeling state and then have at it. Okay.
Yep. Let's go.
All right. And we now are making ourselves available to you in whatever way, shape, or form you would like to utilize us, as well as this unique interaction with our civilization. We extend to you the following welcome, then we ask, how are you doing this day of your time?
I'm perfect. How are you?
We are perfect, ecstatic, and excited to be able to interact with you in this unique format.
Thank you. So I have a bunch of questions here.
All right, how exciting. Where would you like to begin?
So, do you represent the next wave of Esesani energy entering our world now that Bashar has done his job well as a first contact specialist?
We represent the deepening of that telepathic link between our civilization and yours, that psychic energetic link between our civilization and yours. We represent a deepening of this. Understanding that Bashar, as you understand him to be a being, is not the only member of our civilization directly interacting with your society, touching the lives of many individuals within your society. Understand that as a first contact specialist, his role is to begin to vocally, in this way, through the channel, disseminate the teachings, disseminate the information, which contain within their linguistics deeper underlying energetic messages that are more reflective of our civilization as Sasani beings. The idea here is that these ideas have now disseminated very significantly throughout your collective consciousness in such a way where you are all now experiencing yourselves as a version of humanity that is much more in alignment, much more in resonance with the Sasani signature frequency. And as a result, it's not that we represent the next wave, so to say, but we represent the deepening of that connection, because you all now have a level of energy within yourself that can handle the deepening of this information, the deepening of this energetic experience from our civilization to yours. And we see the Bashar as well as the other beings from our civilization that have been channeled and have been in contact with your current society as those that were essentially laying the framework, so beings of your earth could then go deeper with us in these unique ways, such as channeling, but not limited to just channeling.
I see. So there's probably like more and more, well, channels, but other things popping up as we go forward.
Yes, you have significant increases in which you understand to be UFO encounters. In particular, UFO encounters with our civilization, seeing triangular craft. This type of phenomenon is increasing, understanding that the seeing of craft is just a symbol of a deepening of that connection from our world to yours.
I see. So what will probably be the very first ET civilization I will have personal open contact with?
Yes, understand that this is typically going to be the Hyahyel for many of you. However, you will find that in which you term global disclosure, this will be largely reflective of that civilization, of this version of hybridized humans, understanding them to be called the Hyahyel in their native tongue. However, with this being said, they are not the only extraterrestrial society along with ours that is interfacing with your Earth and is hovering craft above your Earth's surface. There are many other civilizations, many other star nations, as you tend to call them in your own ancient histories, that are interfacing with your Earth's surface. So even though global disclosure will probably be them, because that is how many of the parallel realities are unfolding in what you call your future, it will most likely be them. Personal disclosure, personal contact in which you understand to be a direct and physicalized experience will actually vary from person to person, because when you cross that threshold of imminent ET contact on a global scale, the ET guides, the ET beings that are around each of you will oftentimes become very accessible in terms of being able to experience them in a tangible way. So for those of you that feel you are guided by who you call the Pleiadians, you may find that you have very dramatic, very physicalized dreaming experiences of these beings. And that can actually be reflective of the personalized first contact. For many of you, it will actually be that deepening of the connection with whatever star societies you find yourself personally interacting with. But on the global disclosure level, we see this being the Hyahyel for the most part, because again, they represent some of the more human qualities that exist within extraterrestrials. They are embodying more of what you characteristically call humanity. So that is why they are a very appropriate first species to interact with Earth on a global level for the first time in quite some time.
Okay, that is very exciting. So here's a general question. This is from a friend of mine. So what happens to our personality when we move on to the afterlife?
All right, understand that your personality, as you create it to be, is something always shifting, something always changing. You can have what you call a negative personality, you can have what you call a neutral personality, and you can have what you call a positive personality. You are always typically fluctuating between these different levels, these different spectrums of energy within the personality. Understanding that what you call the more Positive personality is just you wearing a mask. It is you wearing a mask, and the mask has a particular energy that is more reflective of your true nature than what you would call the negative mask. The personality can adorn either. It can adorn a negative mask or a positive mask. Typically, when you're wearing a negative mask, you will find you are utilizing energies to create the personality that are not in full alignment with who you actually are. But when you create your personality to be reflective of who you actually are and you adorn what we are calling the positive mask, then that becomes a reflection of your true nature. Your personality just becomes a doorway for others to access more of your true nature. And that is what we call the positive mask of the personality. So understanding that the positive mask is imbued with the natural energy from your natural state. It is reflective of who you actually are, and it then acts as a reference point for other beings of your earth to then interact with you on that level, using the positive personality as essentially the door to open deepening connections with you. With this being said, when you actually pass on, what you call the positive personality becomes absorbed, you could say, into your overall being. And the reason it becomes absorbed is because you do not require such an extensive personality when you are operating from the level of spirit. The personality is much more convenient, much more relevant for the physical incarnation. So when you actually pass on, you begin to reabsorb the positive personality back into yourself, extracting from it those energies that again are relevant to your true nature, and it becomes reabsorbed into the greater aspect of your being. So it never actually goes anywhere, but rather it reintegrates itself into more of who you are, that greater dimension of your being. Where when you experience the personality in the physical, you experience it as another level of the psyche. You can say, okay, this is my mind, this is my emotions, and this is my personality, which I show to the outside world. It's how I socially interface. It's very relevant for when you're creating experiences of separation. But once you go into experiences of unity, particularly when you are going deeper into the spirit realm after you have quote-unquote passed on, because you no longer require the personality to help bridge the illusion of separation, it then becomes reabsorbed into you and becomes a greater aspect of your overall being.
Okay, so I've always imagined that when I die, I will be able to sort of relive chapters of my life and define the parameters a bit differently. So I will be, for example, able to give myself superpowers and actually relive a chapter of my life using those superpowers. Is that something that might happen or is available?
Yes, many of you do this. You actually go into an editing type of mode of the physical life when you pass on, and it is part of your consciousness's ability to say, oh wow, look, I could have done that differently. Okay, let me edit this and implant these types of scenarios, these types of outcomes, this type of inspiration into my physical self, which is still alive, living that life.
Right.
Because the physical life is still going on, which you call past, present, and future, are tangible, accessible realities that when you die, you're still able to interface with, but from the point of view of the spirit realm. So you absolutely can go in, and you can actually act as a spirit guide to your physical self, which is still alive, guiding it along its journey in a more unique way that you might not have been able to witness because previously you were actually in that version of yourself's shoes, so you couldn't see the bigger picture.
No, that is very interesting. So do you think this is somewhat probable to, or are we able to do this without dying?
Yes. Yes, it just requires the belief you can do so, and then the advancement of those particular skills in whatever way you are inspired to develop those skills. But yes, many people in your reality do this. Many highly developed shamans in your reality do this. Many esoteric practitioners do this. And understand, you all do this. It is just a matter of how far do you want to grow that ability.
Right. So I'm sort of excited about this. This is kind of similar about the idea of shifting like physically into my imagination, like tuning my frequencies so rapidly that it sort of, well, it seems like, I don't know, just teleporting into a different place and sort of experiencing whatever I want to imagine. So is this sort of similar? So is this kind of probable after open contact or so? Is there like technology
Yes.
or
Yes,
training
yes.
to do it?
Yes, particularly after open contact, it becomes much more available for every being on your planet that you call human to be able to do so, because this is how many of these other societies are interacting. So understand, you make the distinction between your physical reality and your imagination. We do not. This is our imagination. Our quasi-physical reality is just a projection, a quasi-physicalized projection of our imagination. We don't see it as any different. It is the exact same thing to us. We understand we are imagining the physical reality. We are imagining your society. We are imagining our quasi-physical reality. We are imagining the spirit realm. And we understand whenever we're interacting with these things, we are just interacting with other levels of our imagination. But realizing that the only change we made was just the shift in our consciousness to see reality that way. And that is step one. The step one is just realizing, okay, I can imagine this world to be the spirit world. I can imagine this world to be the imagination. Once you've done that, you're already crossing that bridge. And then it goes into a deepening of that knowingness. Okay, well, I feel unhappy in my reality. Someone might say that, but I understand that my reality is just a projection of my imagination. So what must I be doing to create this feeling of unhappiness? How am I creating the reality? So when a being begins to see reality as an extension of their own energy, it prompts that type of adventure, of discovering, how am I creating reality? Why am I creating it this way? Can I create it to be more positive? And that is why open contact will trigger this, because it will assist your society in collectively understanding that they are all dreaming the reality around them, and that through working together and overcoming whatever challenges you are all uniquely going through, you can all co-creatively dream utopia of Earth, and we will be there dreaming it with you.
That's beautiful. So when was the last time I was visited by ETs physically, and what race was it?
All right. One moment. This requires a deepening of our point of view into your different histories. All right. All right. Approximately the 8th time has already occurred. One moment. All right. There are 7 times that have... One moment. We are translating this energy. There have been 7 encounters you have had in particular. There is an 8th one that has already happened in certain histories of yourself, but has not happened in the current one that you are experiencing yourself as a connection to. So understand you have an upcoming one, and now that we are making you aware of it, you will be able to play with it in a way where you can be more conscious, be more aware, but you have had 7 in that sense. We are including visitations where you were brought out of body in that sense, and were brought into craft. We are including that in which you would understand to be physicalized, because your physical body is very much utilized in these types of interactions with extraterrestrials. You have also, we will ask it this way, do you have conscious memory of seeing craft?
I've seen a bunch of UFOs, and I have some dream memories of actually doing that and symbolic of that.
Yes, we were asking this just to reinforce the information. When you have these experiences with craft where you see them, oftentimes this is just a symbol that you walk away with as a memory. And it's a symbol that is actually reflecting a greater level of energy exchange between you and that society. And in those moments where you actually see the craft, that's just what they call a screen memory. In those moments, you are typically having intense telepathic interactions with the beings that are manifesting the craft. And in those moments, there's actual aspects of your consciousness that are then on board the craft with them. That is why many people, when they see UFOs, they walk away so changed, similar to what you call a near-death experience. And it's because they are receiving telepathic downloads from all of the beings within the craft. And it allows for them to go through rapid levels of advancement, rapid lesson learning, just from one encounter. And in their eyes, all they did was see a ship, but that again is just a screen memory disguising the greater levels of interaction that have actually taken place. We have seen in your stream approximately 7 major interactions we would consider to be physicalized interactions with these beings, in the sense that your physical body was very much engaged in the interaction. It was not done in a level of the dream realm while you were asleep, where much more of your, what you call astral body, was engaged. This was something that was done while you had the physical body up and running. And again, the 8th one we foresee is in your imminent future. And knowing this, you are able to prepare yourself in such a way where you can become much more open, much more allowing, much more gentle, much more excited about interacting with whom you interact with. You would find you have many beings from the star system Sirius that enjoy working with you. They have a very aquatic incarnational experiences. They are pioneers of which you understand music to be, but music in a very different way than it is expressed within your human society, utilizing music in a way that factors in nature. So understanding how to synchronistically play instruments, whether it be your voice or aspects of your body, that are in perfect sync, perfect timing with the natural rhythm and melodies and harmonics of the natural world. And they utilize the water, and they utilize different aquatic animals within their societies to assist them in making music that reverberates throughout their entire oceans, within their different worlds, their networks. And these beings, in many ways, are particularly connected to you, as well as your music-making endeavors.
Okay, thank you. So, how would I be different if I wasn't hybridized?
All right, if you were not hybridized, you would have, essentially, we are actually looking at this version of you, you would have found yourself becoming much more intellectual. You would have found yourself, in many ways, adopting what you'd understand to be mainstream paths of societal living. It would have created vibrations in you that would be a little more attracted to what your mainstream society has to offer. What you understand to be a spiritual focal point of your attention would be less refined. It would still be present within you, but it would not be something akin to a subject you spend extensive amounts of time learning about and training. Instead, you would have found this aspect of yourself, your spiritual focus, would have been a subtle energy that would have been disseminated throughout all of your different activities within life in a much more background way, but not in a negative way, in a way that allowed for you to simply take in spiritualized information in a very background and gentle way through all of your interactions. So you still would have been affecting consciousness collectively very positively, because that represents, again, your true nature. That spiritual awareness represents your true nature, being able to permeate throughout all of your life. The benefit of beings being hybridized humans, is that certain genes are altered that allow for a very tangible awareness of the spiritual energy that makes up all things. And for these hybridized humans, typically that awareness is so strong that they feel compelled to explore it because they can't deny it. And the perk, you could say, of having hybridized genes is that it helps to prompt that type of journey into the understanding of the spirit world, the understanding of how to use spirit to help oneself and others, and understanding that it is all spirit. These are the benefits of the hybrid genes, and that is just the general description of their benefits. Because once a being understands this, they can then activate what have been traditionally called cities or mystical abilities, which you all possess, but the hybrid genes simply allow for you to access this a heck of a lot quicker, much more directly, because it helps to invoke the excitement and passion that is naturally within the being. It allows for it to flow much more smoothly and much more openly than in those who do not have this type of genetic alteration.
Okay. So I'm actually creating a sort of a quick start guide to telekinesis. So if you had an Earth human who wanted to learn telekinesis at this time, what would you have him do?
All right. I would in particular have him get two objects that are the same in their appearance. It could be two toy cars. It could be two playing cards. It could be two objects that appear to be identical. Placing one object at the end of one table, sitting at a long table with chairs at both ends, one object at one end, one object at the other end. I would have this person hold the object between their hands, breathing in a way that embraces the awareness of the object between the hands, connecting what you call the mid-eyebrow in your chakra system, the third eye point, to the awareness of the hands, to the awareness of the objects, breathing in the awareness of your mid-eyebrow point, your hands, and the object with each inhale, breathing into these places, breathing out of these places. I would have that person spend approximately 5 minutes at one end of the table doing this exercise with this particular object. I would then have them get up and go to the other end of the table doing the same thing. I would then, while they are at the other end of the table, after they have gone from one end to the other one time, I would then have them imagine a version of themselves still sitting at the other end of the table doing the same exercise. So they're imagining another them sitting where they just were doing the same exercise, spending another 5 and 10 minutes breathing into the object in the way we described previously, but doing it in sync with the imagined version of them at the other end of the table. I would then, after 5 to 10 minutes, have them return to that original seat, doing the same exercise, imagining the other self at the other end doing the exercise with them. The reason this is important, the reason this is a good technique, is the following. It allows for you to connect to the other reality where you have influence over the object. Because telekinesis, again, in this way, is the idea of moving objects with the mind. Understanding that there is another version of you across all realities, and because that version of you exists in all realities, you can access that version to co-create unique reality experiences where you perceive objects to be moving and you perceive that you have moved them, but it's actually an extension of you across all realities that you're working with that's moving the object. So it's still you, but it is a projected version of you. This exercise assists you in tapping into it. There have been other words for this skill, such as bilocation. Understanding that it is connected to what you call telekinesis, in the sense that you are working with another version of you that is connected to you, an extension of you, that is relevant to the object you wish to perform the telekinesis on. This will be a starting point for this, and you will find your own passion and excitement will show you how to then grow this. But this opens the door to get you in the state of mind to interact with that version of you that is able to assist you in performing this type of skill.
That's a really nice exercise. So what would be the most conducive mental and emotional state to perform telekinesis?
Joy.
Joy.
Joy. Play. These are, whenever you say, well, what is the state of being I must be in to manifest that? There will always be specific states of being that are relevant to that theme, But understand, across all realities, unconditional love, excitement, passion, these can be baselines that will assist any skill you are using in functioning to its optimal, because again, those energies are reflective of your natural state. So whatever you are putting your natural energy of who you actually are into any activity, it will automatically function better because it is reflecting that original energy within you.
I see. Yeah. So are there any materials that are more receptive to telekinesis than other materials?
Yes. You would find objects that have metallic substances, crystalline substances in particular, are very reflective of alterations that you make within your own energy. And again, when you are performing telekinesis, you are making such a significant alteration in your own energy that it creates the illusion of the object moving. But again, we've already explained some of these mechanics on how that is happening. But yes, to answer your question, it is the crystalline objects, the metallic objects, that tend to be a little bit more receptive. And this is the same reason why many of you end up disturbing electrical technologies with your own natural energies, which many of you have experienced. It's because these are the types of technologies, objects that are more reflective, more malleable by your own energies.
Yeah, that makes sense. So do you have any sort of suggestions in terms of dietary supplements for telekinesis?
All right, understanding minerals in particular is of the utmost importance. Understanding that minerals allow for the nervous system to work better, and when the nervous system is, in and of its sense, functioning optimally, you gain what you could call better control, a better relationship with your nervous system, which you understand to be ionic minerals are highly effective for this regeneration of the nervous system. There are certain metals, such as gold and monoatomic versions of gold, that can also be quite useful in this particular skill. You would also find certain fragrances to also be supportive of the skill, such as what you call your sandalwoods or your lavenders. These are also very supportive of these skills. And the reason for this is, again, one of your major cranial nerves connected to your overall nervous system is very much related to your sense of smell. So as you begin to engage smells, as you do these exercises that are supportive of these abilities, you will find the fragrances will induce full neurological effects throughout your whole system.
Okay. So switching on to lucid dreaming. So I desire to make lucid dreaming effortless. What do you perceive as the path of least resistance to frequent lucid dreaming?
All right. Well, the first awareness is understanding that you are lucid dreaming right now. That is awareness number one. Because if you cannot become aware you are lucidly dreaming in the waking state, it becomes much more challenging to do it in the sleeping state. Because when you are sleeping, you are not having direct access to your full waking consciousness, so it appears very chaotic or challenging to some of you. But if you can entrain your awareness while you are awake to understand that even this reality is nothing more than a lucid dream, you can grow with it and play with it, and we would encourage you to master lucid dreaming while awake by lucidly living your life fully, to then have that automatically carry over to the dream state when you're asleep. Just as you say in your world, oh, I had such a rough day, or I watched all of this crazy action-based content on my television before I went to sleep, and then I had some very strange, crazy dreams. Understand, that is how you begin to, how you say, program your dreaming world. You program the dreaming world typically with what you spend your time on, what you spend your energy on while you are awake. So if you can spend your waking state From that point of view, I am lucid dreaming. This is a dream. I can do whatever I want. I am doing whatever I want, and I'm acting in a way that's fully reflective of who I actually am. And you can actually get lost in that state, losing again the limitations, letting go of those shackles, you could say, on consciousness, shaking them off, and allowing yourself to embody that while awake will automatically transfer that to the dreaming state. Especially if you can invoke that awareness of I am lucid dreaming, not only throughout the day, but specifically before you go to bed and specifically when you wake up. In particular, when you wake up, if you can entrain yourself to think that way upon rising, it will bridge that connection between the dreaming reality and the waking reality very significantly.
Right. So what do you think about the traditional lucid dreaming techniques we have, such as dream journaling and all that? So what are they doing?
Yes, it is physicalizing your connection to the dream world when you then write about your dreams. And it is a highly effective technique. And the idea is you are taking an experience you had in another dimension and you are then anchoring it into the physical. So the dream journal represents an actual anchor of your personal dreaming world into the physical reality framework. So as you grow that journal by adding in more content, you are creating a bigger and bigger and bigger anchorage point of the dreaming reality into the physical reality.
Right. So essentially all the permission slips we have are about connecting more strongly with the dream world to physicalize it more.
Yes.
Right. And that then makes it like more accessible to us while we're sleeping.
Exactly. Yes, because it won't seem as alien to you because your physical mind will have already been playing with it during the waking state.
Right. Yeah. So Bashar has talked about something that he calls the template level reality or the blueprint level reality, which is essentially something that exists, I think, between the physical reality and the higher mind reality. So sort
Yes.
of a blueprint that lays the physical foundations for the physical reality. And so through dreaming and imagination and all that, I feel like I've made contact with some entities that appear to be living in that dimension or in that reality.
Yes.
So is there anything you can tell me about them?
Yes, understand these are what are called weaver beings. They assist you in being able to make connections on a grand scale to different synchronicities, messages, and points of experience within your overall waking state, as well as within your overall spiritual consciousness. These beings in particular are working with you in this template reality so that you are able to see all of the different connections that then exist within your physical life that are relevant to where you wish to go, you could say, as a soul on a journey, as a human. So they are scanning in all of the infinite connections, all of the synchronicities you have observed and not observed. They are looking at all of these factors, and they are essentially consolidating all of that data to be this. What of all of these experiences is most relevant, most supportive, most conducive for this individual's growth? They then bring all of that energy into the template reality and display it in front of aspects of your overall spirit as well as your own higher self, and you can then essentially build the structure of what your next physicalized experience would be. It's like someone, are you familiar with the toys Legos?
Yeah.
It is like somebody is bringing a whole bucket of Legos to a grand architect. And then the grand architect and the grand architect's team assemble all the Legos together into whatever configuration they desire. And that is what these allies you have in your template level of reality are assisting you being able to do, to gather more pieces so you can build more elaborate structures. And they are also taking in, again, information you have consciously seen where you say to yourself, oh, that's a synchronicity, that's a sign. And they are also taking in synchronicities and signs you have not seen, but have been sent to you. So that way your guides, your teams can then work on allowing for those synchronicities to come in more obvious ways, so you'll actually get the clues, you'll get the inspirations. This is just part of what they do. Because it is the dream world, it is infinite in its nature. So how they are interacting and what they are doing is quite expansive, but this is one act, you could say, one function and role that they play within the template level reality.
Yeah, I literally felt like I've been like talking to a consulting agency designing physical realities or something.
Yes, yes, it's precisely that. It is precisely that. That's why your physical realities are becoming much more magical for most of you, day after day after day. This is because you are working very harmoniously with these new guides you have in the template level. Because understand, as your collective consciousness begins to expand and allows for you all to begin to interact more deeply with other beings, your dream world also allows for those beings to more greatly enter. So you then actually are able to form new relationships in the dreaming realities, which will automatically affect the physical reality, because that is the realm where the physical reality is created.
Right. So I'm curious as to, let's say I have a lucid dream and it's something, and then how does it like relate to physical reality? If let's say I go to a lucid dream and I imagine a scenario and I live it, and then I come back, I obviously bring that memory and that energy with me. So is it like it attracts that sort of energy back to me because of the what you put out is what you get back?
It can, but not always. What we
Okay.
mean by this is the following. Let's say, for example, you lucid dreamed a difficult conversation you needed to have with a family member. Something that was challenging, something that might have had a lot of emotions or limitation, of negative belief within that relationship. And then let us assume you then lucid dream, connecting to that individual, having that conversation, taking apart the negative beliefs, going through a resolution process with them, a healing process with them. What you will then find is that in this particular example, when you awake, you will carry the state of being within you that says, yes, I have healed from this situation, they have healed from this situation, and that will then be in your field. So then when you actually interact with them in the physical, not only will they be different, but you will be able to actually have that interaction with them much more easily because you've already had it in the dream world. And it will, in that way, increase the probability that the interaction with them will go in a way that's very reflective of the interaction you had while dreaming. In some situations, you may find in your dream world, you do something you have been too scared to do in the physical. Potentially, you fly, or maybe you steal something, or maybe you do something you would consider to be reckless for pure experimentation's sake, because you say, I've had a desire to do this, I'm in a dream, it's not going to do anything wrong or hurt anybody, so let me just do it now. And you will find that you actually can experience many of the things you say you wish to experiment with while in physical reality, but you can do it in the dream world, receiving the same type of lesson learning from the dream world that you would in the physical, but in the dream world you don't have what you call the negative consequences. So the dream world also allows for you to sort of be in a sandbox mode of reality where you can run certain experiments, you can run certain outcomes, certain scripts, you could say, of interaction with yourself and others or objects or experiences to see how they will go. And then because you've done it in the dream world, you don't actually have to always do it in the physical. You'll say, oh, I already know what that's like. I've gotten my fix. Thank you so much, dream world, for assisting me in learning that lesson there. So the dream world can play a variety of different roles for each of you.
Right, of course. Yeah. So I've been very attracted to energy of a bear lately. So could you shed some light on what the bear energy symbolizes, the animal bear?
Yes, the bear represents the idea of being able to hibernate for long periods of time, as well as then integrating into the dreaming world in a very dense, very chronic manner, rooting into the earth to maintain the connection to the physical, but then going into a deep dream where the earth is supporting the dream state so the bear can remain dreaming for days and days and days. And this is how we see the energy of the bear. It is a physical anchorage point that allows for your consciousness to go into a receptive, regenerative, contemplative, free-spirited mode. So from that anchorage point, you can then travel and dream with the earth in a unique version of your dream world that is part of a greater dreaming world connected to the earth and all other animal consciousnesses. We see the bear in one reflection as this. Understanding the bear also represents a great deal of other aspects, such as the ability to be both playful and joyful, as well as fierce. Because that is also a positive quality. Many of you associate ferocity with something being negative or akin to inappropriate expressions of anger that induce negative outcomes. Rather, ferocity is, in and of a sense, the undying fixation on whatever it is you're focusing on. And we see this as an aspect of the bear that is a counterbalance to the very playful, very fun aspect of bears that are typically seen when they are young. And understanding that the idea of being ferocious in terms of following passion, following excitement, following your own North Star, following yourself is a very positive thing because it can allow for you to stay in that state of being for prolonged periods of time, which is again mirrored by the bear's ability to dream with the earth for prolonged periods of time. It supports its ability to become hyper-focused on what you understand as its hunting practices, going after prey in that way, as you experience the current version of bears to be.
Right. Yeah, that's very helpful. So my girlfriend is actually having nightmares quite often, and I was wondering, like, how could I help her? Do you have any ideas?
All right, there are quite a few ways you can help her. There are a variety of different stones, different crystals that you can utilize. And you yourself, if you wish to play a much more direct agent role in this endeavor, you can spend time with a crystalline substance, something small, something large, something that won't feel awkward under a pillow. Spending time with a crystal that meets this description, and not only sending your unconditional love, your passion, your joy to it, but to also send in particular programs, particular intentions, and visualizing these intentions coming from your body as light going into this crystal. You can put in intentions such as positive dreaming realities, deep restful sleep, dreams that can be processed in a way that does not invoke fear, dreams that can be interpreted in a way that is gentle and harmonious for the system. And it will allow for, again, the different energies your partner is experiencing while she is dreaming to then be channeled through that framework of the crystal. So when she then processes the dream world, it will be done in a manner that's going to be reflective of the intentions and programs you have put into the crystal.
That is amazing, because a few weeks ago she actually, like, she's not, well, she's spiritual, but she's not the way I am spiritual. She's not really that comfortable with it. But anyway, a few weeks ago, she actually asked me if I had a stone or a crystal she could use. And we did put that under her pillow. And so what just occurred to me that I could sort of, what you just said, I could program it with energies and all that. So that could be helpful.
Yes, yes. The more you do it, the stronger it will become.
Right. Could you give me like an exercise or a permission slip to do that? Like, I understand holding it and imagining certain energies and all that. I can get the energy part, like choosing what kind of energies, but how could I amplify?
We would recommend the following visualization while creating states of joy and love. Imagining what you understand as your aurora borealis, your northern lights, to be approximately 20 feet above you. Imagining them to be moving through the air, imagining love and joy, positive, virtuous qualities being broadcasted from the different frequencies of light found within the aurora borealis. Begin to connect with this reality, becoming aware of the crystal in your hand and the aurora borealis above. You can do two major techniques that can bring the energy in, and you can play along with each one to see which one feels better. You can allow for the energy of the aurora borealis to come down in a spiralized motion, a spiraling pattern, down like a tornado, like a vortex into the crystal. And you are imagining the feelings of love and joy from the aurora borealis spiraling down like a vortex into the crystal. And you can spend time connecting that vortex energy with the love and joy of the aurora borealis and your own love and joy and your own programs. And you can ask for dream programs from the aurora borealis to come in. This is one way. You can do that, spending 5 to 10 minutes in that state, allowing for the crystal to become charged with this energy. You also can allow for yourself to imagine the aurora borealis 20 feet above you. And what you can do is, as you inhale, you can imagine that through the third eye point, what is called the crown point or the apex point at the top of the head, imagining the aurora borealis being breathed in through the crown, the mid-eyebrow, and even the nose, and imagining it coming down through your hands into the crystal. So you are actually filtering the aurora borealis energy through your physical body, your energy body, which will allow for you to also receive benefits and downloads from it. Either way will be appropriate and either way will work, understanding that you will find that certain ones work better for you on certain days.
Okay, yeah, that is great. So I'd like to ask a little bit about the channel's connection to different ET societies. What do you read as the major connections?
His major connection is to our society, understanding he has existed as a Sasani being in multiple incarnations. He has also existed within the Hyahyel society. He, in many ways, has experimented with the connections he has to humanoid civilizations that are off-world. This is one of his major focus points because of his unique desires to assist humanity in becoming more of themselves, letting go of limitation and going into radical transformation based in love. This is one of his biggest passions, and as a result, he has incarnated many times with our civilization and other humanoid civilizations that have gone through very human-like themes and express human-like characteristics. So in this particular incarnation, he could be able to much more easily assist humans in going through whatever changes they desire to go through, need to go through in order to take their next steps. And this is one of his greatest passions. He also has multiple incarnations, which you'd understand to be the Pleiadian systems, as well as the Lyrian system, as well as the Arcturian system. There are other connections he has that are much more subtle for him because his own consciousness, his own awareness is still blossoming, it is still opening. But these are the most direct incarnational parallels he has that are assisting him in this unique expression of life as he experiences himself to be as Tyler in that way. He draws upon many of these civilizations.
How do you see the channeling developing within the next 5 or 10 years for him?
It will go much deeper. He has recently been putting himself through a variety of challenges in relationship to channeling to see how concrete the skill can be. He has recently put himself through certain challenges where his personality, where his cognitive functioning, were in a very restful, fuzzy place, where all he wanted to do was essentially nap and sleep. However, he intentionally organized multiple channeling events during this time to see if he could override what seemed like a normal physical state and go full-blown into the channeling state, which he was able to do with complete ease. So because he is going through these tests, because he is challenging himself in this way, we foresee this channeling state to become something that is completely automatic to him. in a way where, much like the channel you understand as Bashar and Darylanka to be, where they go essentially unconscious, allowing for the information to come through, it is most likely going to be headed in that direction. Once it is in that direction, more changes will begin to happen in his personal life, because more of his energy will be interacting with us, because less of it will be rooted in the physical managing of the reality, and it will go into our reality, so to say, and into the third reality we create with him when we channel it with him, and it will allow for much more alterations to happen to him in that state, and for him to be able to create malleability within himself, so he can edit and alter and change aspects of his reality, similar to what you call the template reality. We see this being a very natural state we will be able to go with him into. And this is most likely what will happen in less than 5 years' time. We also foresee him training many people in how to be able to open up their own natural channeling ability, and this is something he's already doing. But part of his major role here on Earth is to assist other star seeds, as you call them, to be able to open up the channeling ability so that more unique messages, more diverse messages, more comprehensive understandings of your cosmos will also be able to come through.
Yeah, that is very interesting. How would you say the current state of the channel in terms of the deepness?
In its current form, as you are experiencing it, and he is experiencing it, and we are experiencing it, we find it to be rather deep. We find it to be deeper than it has actually ever been for him. And remember, this is something that is becoming progressively deeper and deeper and deeper. With every person he interacts with in this unique format, it will automatically go deeper, because he's going deeper with us in his waking life all the time. So every time he channels, it's like jumping into the deep end of the swimming pool.
Right. Do you see, like, in terms of the energy he channels, do you see it as specializing towards some goal?
Yes, absolutely. The main gist here in terms of where this goal is the refining of many of the concepts that your society asks about when he is channeling us. Understanding your society is very interested in non-physical skills. Your society is very interested in co-creating reality in the way they prefer. Your society is very interested in health and nutrition. Your society is very interested in being able to lucid dream or travel out of body. Understanding that your society is essentially collectively asking for their normal, natural abilities to re-emerge. And we see these conversations as assistance to all of those who wish to develop these types of skills. We are helping all of you to reawaken to the natural skill sets that many of you say you wish to co-create within your realities. That's where we see these interactions leading many people. This is just one agenda, you could say, towards the overarching reasons for the interactions, just one agenda within that framework, but it is a powerful one, it is a very real one, and it is something we specialize in.
I see. Yeah. Well, that's it for all the questions. Do you have any last thoughts?
All right, we will say the following to you. It has been our pleasure, joy, appreciation, and passion to be able to interact with you in this unique way. We thank you for your particular gifts, and we thank you for having the courage to use your gifts in cultures where the gifts are not always seen fully. We thank you for having the bravery and courage to see what you have to offer in its fullest extent, understanding that it is a connection to the infinite, and understanding that through sharing your work with others, you are helping to show people their connections to the infinite. And through the media you create, you are able to show many people some of the greatest mysteries of life, as depicted through whatever form of creative content you choose to share with them. It has been our pleasure and joy to interact with you. Our unconditional love to you and to all whom you encounter. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great, man.
Yeah, yeah, that was really good. That was a really good session. Oh, damn. So how did you like it?
Sorry?
I said, so you liked it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was great. Yeah, thank you.
Of course, of course. Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. And they were right, man. It's getting deeper each time. Like, I just know I'm talking half the time. That's it. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm saying some shit right here. Cool. Cool. Okay, I'm saying something. Okay, I hope it makes sense. Cool. Like,
Yeah, that was fun.
yeah, yeah, totally, totally.
All right.
Cool, cool. Well, so have you been listening to channeled content for a while? Or are you new to channeling?
Well, 10 years or so, and I've listened to like all the videos you have on YouTube on different channels as well.
Awesome. Oh, that's so cool, man. That's awesome that you've been like so into it. Do you
Yeah,
find this information, let me put it this way. Do you find there's similarities? Do you find there's differences between different channels? Do you find like my information is either similar or different compared to other people's, or do you find that there's a lot of connections?
I find that there are like different perspectives in all the channels, but what was really surprising to me is that I read this book called Avatars of the Phoenix Lights. It's by a Sean Swanson or something, and he channels the issue of Yael.
Mhm.
And it's like it's practically like reading a Bashar book. It's completely the same, and I find that your information in many times is also really similar, but at times it feels like I feel like it's a bit more advanced in certain ways.
Mhm.
Like there's like a progression. Like I feel like you have something that is sort of pushing through. It's not necessarily like 100%, deep trance channeling like Bashar, who's done it for 35 years. But still, I see the potential. It literally feels like there is something new coming out. Because when I listen to Bashar or anyone, it's like I've heard everything, so many times already. But
Yeah.
there's something new in what you do. So that's very interesting.
Oh, very cool.
Like
Very
it's
cool.
a very new perspective, but it's based on what's the foundations that are already there.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I thank you for sharing that. I've never this is that's first you're the first person I've ever asked that question to, so
Oh
I really really value the answer. That's very cool to know that there's similarities as well as uniqueness there. It's
yeah,
yeah, very exciting.
yeah,
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, Billy, I mean, we still have like another like 10 minutes or so. I think 'cause I set it for an hour. If you want to dialogue a little bit more, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But I mean, if not, we can go on our merry ways to the rest of this day.
yeah. I thought I had a lot of questions, but it appears that I ran out of questions. After a half an hour. But
which
yeah,
was fascinating. I remember like when I'm in the state, I'm aware of like myself speaking, like I was saying, and I don't always know what I'm saying, but like I'm like, okay, here I am, I'm talking. And there was this moment where I'm like, I feel like I'm talking so much. I'm like, I hope I don't like override his time from like super lengthy answers. But that's so funny. We actually ended like early.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was good because then I could throw in questions that were like spontaneous, like the most of the dreaming stuff was completely spontaneous. But
Yeah.
it turned out to be, for at least for me, almost the most interesting parts of the dialogue.
Right, dude. I agree. Those were really cool questions. And that was so trippy, man. When you asked about dreaming, like how to help with your girlfriend's dreams, I like saw, like it was like images. Like I saw you like putting like crystals like under her pillow. And it was just so trippy because I was like, whoa, like I'm looking at like solutions and I'm looking at another reality right now. Okay. And then when you reinforced that by saying like, oh, we started doing that, I was like, it was just cool as shit to see like that was what directly came through and then it was something you'd been doing. So that's the part I'm liking more, seeing these connections of the client I'm channeling for and then what the guides are showing me. I love seeing that association.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. I'm sorry
Awesome.
I'm so clunky, but this is the Finnish way.
Oh, it's okay. It's not bad at all, man. Not bad at all. Well, Billy, I'm going to. I think I'm going to get going. I got to get ready
Yeah,
for. part-time job I got to get to. But my friend, it has been a pleasure being able to work with you.
Yeah, you too.
Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
So, take care.